Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Hey, listen, we're supposed to be live on Clubhouse right now, but something happened to my room. I had it up. It was been up for 2 days, but when I went to go turn it on this morning, it has disappeared. So even though we're live here, okay, this is the first time this has happened. I've got to set up our room on Clubhouse so that I can get it back on because that's where our audience is, our Clubhouse audience is. So let me get this done. And is there something we can do in the meantime? Play something in the background? I don't know, man. We got to do something here because Kurt's doing double duty. I'm doing double duty. And it's going to be silent here for just a second, folks, while I get this going. All right. So let me find it. All right. Man, I don't know how that happened. So we're going to go ahead and reestablish the room. All right. Because it is gone. Let me see here. Dismiss. Get that out of here. All right. And let me see if I moved it somewhere else by mistake. Nope. All right. So let's go back. Let's get that and put it up. I got to get the room title. It's a good room title, folks. Today, we're talking about can savers and spenders, can they survive in a marriage? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I got to get that title and put it back up, and then we can get going on Clubhouse. All right. And there it is. All right. So we're going to copy all of that. All right. And then paste it in schedule a room. All right, there it is. Come on now. All right, so bring that back and copy. Let's see, select. All right. I love copy and paste. It makes a big difference. It makes it better if you already have your titles ready to go. And so we're going to put that in here. All right. And get the right date, which is today. Get the right time. All right. And publish. Oh, wait a second. I gotta finish this out. All right. And we gotta get the whole title in. Okay. All right, folks. I'm coming. I'm coming. All right, just bear with me. This is the first time this has happened. This is the excitement of doing live presentations. All right. You gotta be ready to pivot. So I got to delete some stuff here and get ready for the whole title. There we go. All right, delete. All right, and select, copy, and paste. All right, got our replays on. All right, and now we can publish. Okay. And all right, so let's see if we can turn it on now. All right, now it's not acting right. Man, I can't get the thing going. All right, so let's do this. Bring this up. All right, let me see what I've got here. And let's edit it. Okay, we're going to edit. And today is, oh, okay. I see what I've got going. I see what I've done. We got to change it here and now save it and start the room. Okay, there we go. All right, there, we got it started. So we're going to be getting some folks in here. All right. And thank you for being here. For those who are watching us on Facebook and on YouTube, on Twitter and LinkedIn. And so let's get this up. And folks, thank you so very much. I don't know what happened to the room today. I had it up and it disappeared. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming in. We have an exciting title today. Can marriage between a saver and a spender survive? And I know some of you have some ideas. So I need you to kind of post your ideas or come to the stage, raise your hand if you're on Clubhouse, raise your hand and come on up so that we can talk to you this morning. And listen, if don't let these folks come in here and try to sell stuff. Okay, and then do a hit and run. Okay, so we're going to delete that. Grand Rising, Steve Mack. All right. Can everybody hear me okay on Clubhouse? All right. Everybody hearing me okay on Clubhouse? All right. And let me know. Put something in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me okay. And we need some folks to come up and talk about this. All right. Thank you, Yvonne. I appreciate that. So here's what I learned today. I was privy to a worship service coming in because we're doing something at our church and it's online, on YouTube just before this. And it talked about promises being given, promises being kept, and promises that sometimes get broken. Okay. And let me tell you something about what we are promising here in a P.I.L.L method. All right. And okay, I got so flustered, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Don Daniel. I'm founder of P.I.L.L Method International. It's a better way to eliminate debt. And we've been doing this for 16 years, teaching people how to read amortization schedules, how you deserve to know how the banks make their money using interest and how you don't have to pay all of that. You can disrupt their timing and pay a lot less interest, sometimes 75 to 80% less, even after you've signed for the loan. Oh, yeah. You don't have to pay that. It is not required that you pay all of that interest. It is required that if you keep their money, you have to pay them interest for as long as you keep their money. We're going to show you how to return the bank's money in such a way that it makes it impossible for them to charge you interest for using their money. And here's the promise. Most of our clients, the average client, can pay off all of their debt, their mortgage, their student loans, credit cards, car loans, everything in 7 to 9 years. So, Don, that is a promise. That we're making people. So once we give you a savings report, once we have give it to you in writing, once you give us your information and we give it back to you, all right? And when we give you the numbers and saying you're going to be out of debt in 7.5 years, you are going to save at least $217,000, whatever it is that we're doing for you, whatever we put in writing, we promise whatever we put in writing and we verify that it is true from you. And once it's done, we keep that promise. And here's what I want to tell you today, all of you who are listening to me right now, live or on the replay. You have had promises broken before. And I'm telling you today, everyone who works with us, we keep our promise. We give it to you in writing, and I need you to do a little research. Instead of feeling the feelings of what you felt before, what other people have done to you, what other companies have done to you, do a little research. Search P.I.L.L method today. Use Google, use Bing, and some of you have been praying for, hoping for a better way to handle your financial situation, handle your debt, whatever it is. And somehow you came across the P.I.L.L method, whether it was recommended, whether you just found it by accident, or that you've been here for a long time. You've been coming and coming and coming. And some of you are a little skittish about, can that really happen? Can a 30-year mortgage and my student loans be paid off in under 10 years? Is that actually possible? Can I believe that? I need you to go ahead and search P.I.L.L method and find one negative word about our company from someone who's actually used the program. I'm here to tell you today that you're going to get more than we promised, not less. Everyone who does business with us gets more than we promised, not less. And if you are wondering about that, this is why we give a lifetime guarantee. It's important for people, especially in this day and time, especially when we have so much out on the internet, especially when there's so much going on. There are scammers out there. I know that, and I understand that. And you may be afraid to pull the trigger. I have tried other things and been disappointed. I know that. And I'm sorry for that. But if you work with us, we will listen to you, find out what your concerns are, and we will work with you to show you that we will keep our promise to you in writing. And if we don't keep our promise, we will give you your money back. Period. End of story. So, folks, if you've been looking for something to help you with your finances, this is it. If you've been wondering how you can get out of debt, this is it. If you've been wondering how you can get rid of your student loans, your mortgages that hang around like household pets, this is it. If you've been paying way more interest than you thought you would pay, and then you suddenly realize after 3, 4, or 5 years that you owe almost as much on your debt as you did when you first got it, and you want to do something about it, this is it. I promise. And the first step is to get a savings and earnings report. That's the first step. I want to share something with you. And this guy would not, and if you know anything about him, you know he would not endorse anything unless he knew it absolutely worked. I need you to hear something from Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip hop preacher. Then we're going to get into this thing, and I need you to come to the stage and let's talk about it. Let's talk about how if savers and spenders can exist in the same family. Let's hear from Dr. Thomas right now. Hello. Hey, Kurt, can you hear me? Uh-oh, something's not right. Uh-oh, we're still having problems. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Hey, Kurt, are you there? Okay, let me see if I got my sound on. I got everything going. I thought I had everything going. All right, folks, let's go ahead, and we have some technical difficulties. All right. All right, Coffee. Thank you for coming in. All right. We're going to invite you to speak. Good morning, Coffee. How are you?
Good morning, champion. How are you?
Listen, man, we're having some technical difficulties because, listen, this is the first time we've done this subject, and I believe the enemy doesn't want this subject to get out.
Yeah, he mad. He been mad for a whole week.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
And
he been mad for about 7 days. He'll be all right.
do you have some time to talk to us this morning?
Yeah.
So listen, do you have some insight on this subject? Can a spender and a saver exist in the same household?
No, I tried it. My husband, God rest his soul.
Mm-hmm.
A spender and a spender
Mm-hmm.
and an investor cannot dwell together healthily.
Mm-hmm.
They can exist in the same space, but it's not going to be healthy. When my husband was living, Don,
Yeah,
he spent every dime he earned. He would see that we may have $10,000 in the bank,
mm-hmm.
and in his brain, he thinks that $10,000 is just money that can be used. And I'm a administrator,
Right.
And I've been chief executive and financial officer of a couple of organizations. So we would create the spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff to show exactly what was coming out of that capital.
Right.
However, his immaturity, when he went to the bank and he saw all the money, he would constantly eat it up, and which would cause us to go into these deep deficits that would not exist had he just complied with the charts that were created. He got them every single week, and everything was out because my husband was analytical, so he couldn't understand if I were to say it to him, he had to see it in black and white. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this man had an allowance of $300 every week. Right. That was just his play money. That didn't include gas or nothing. That was $300 outside of your barbershop money, everything. You got $1,200 a month to play with. Why are you taking the other money? So it caused years and years of pain and challenges because every time my business would earn, guess what I would have to do? Dump it back into the regular household instead of being able to invest because he would eat it up. That's the reason why now, here it is, fast forward, I suffered for over a decade after his death, attempting to recoup from those issues. And he's been dead for over 10 years. Wow. So it is very, I'm okay, quote unquote. However, I could have been much further had I not had to go back and rebuild the walls that he tore down because he didn't understand money. Wow.
You'll be fine.
Oh, okay, great. Listen, we're still having trouble on the Clubhouse, Kurt. And so I just wanted to make sure we get things going here. But so I got Coffee on, and she's telling she's giving us some insights on spenders and savers. But I just wanted to make sure that we were communicating, Kurt. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. You're good. You're live. Your audio is good. We can hear Coffee too. Good morning, Miss Brown. Thank you, Coach Coffee.
Good morning, champ. How are you?
I'm doing well. Listen,
we got to get together, Kurt. We got to get together.
We overdue. We are overdue.
We way past overdue. I owe you $5,000 for late fee.
Mercy. 2023, man. We're gonna get there.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, folks, listen, something happened, Coffee. Even I had this title up for a couple of days. And then when I went to go ahead and start it today, it had disappeared. And we were in the midst of doing our countdown and our theme music, and I had to recreate the room on Clubhouse again. And so I lost all of my speakers and people who were supposed to be on with us. And so, folks, I'm going to need you to help me to grow the room. So all of you that are in here, Frank, Joe, Lucretia, and Ivana, Steve, Jonathan, and John, would you please help me and share the room so that we can get it out into the hallway, and let's get some more people in here for this particular subject. So, Coffee, I'm sorry to have interrupted you, but you were telling us that you were an investor, your husband was a spender, and they put you in such a deficit that even after his death, that it took you 10 years to kind of correct that situation. Is there any more you would like to share with us? Because this is good information.
Yeah, Don. So, you know, fortunately, I understand seed time, harvest, recovery, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
It was just a part of the process, if you will. And when I got to you is when all of the puzzle pieces came together on just understanding the assignment for our resources, and totally relearning, because, I got into like $100,000 in credit card debt. Just accustomed to a certain lifestyle and attempting to still have that lifestyle. It was bananas. It was bananas. But I'm just grateful that, because I had the seeds from my parents that were planted long time ago in the 70s. And my dad is an investor. My mother is a horrible spender.
Okay.
I literally married the same type of person as my mom.
Okay.
The behavior I hated about my mom is what I married. And yeah, I'm telling you. But it was all for my growth and my learning. I don't dread it, or I have no regrets, nothing like that. It was all for my learning. And so now here it is, fast forward, what I taught my husband before we got married, and I'm so grateful for my dad for this. I told him, I can't marry you unless you have this specific amount of life insurance. You have to have this specific amount. I gave him a number, according to the debt, the income, the mortgage, and education for our children. It's a thing called DIME in the financial world. Because I'm a financial, I'm a risk management advisor for the state of Texas. So we go by that to determine how much insurance you really need. And by the grace of God, even though I had all that debt, I was able to live very comfortably until my children became adults. So now, Don, here I am at 47, just now working. I did not work. I worked in education, and you already know that doesn't generate a lot of revenue.
Right.
I was able to purchase a home that was twice as big as the home I used to have. And my mortgage, Don, ironically, my mortgage is the same amount now as it was in 2005. I pay the same mortgage for over 100% more property.
Okay.
In a much better community. So even though it seemed like it was horrible and it was just bad, there was blessings inside of the burden. And one of the major blessings was to be able to get to you, because ultimately what we're after is the liberation of our community. As people, we need to be free. And unfortunately, we have a tendency to go pay somebody who don't look like us for freedom.
Okay.
They're not going to make us free. Why would they? They are not interested in making us free. We are responsible for our own selves. And so being in here with you makes us responsible and accountable. So guess what, Don? If we choose not to do it, it's sin. God is not pleased. We're offending God at that point, because God says the wealth of the wicked is laid up in store for the righteous. He said, the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to me. I give you the power to get wealth. Well, I'm putting you in a room, in a place to get wealth, and then you turn around and not go with the information and apply it so that you can become free. Then that's offending the Creator at that point.
Okay.
It's no longer on you, Don. It's on us, because guess what? We're all accountable once we receive the information. Yes. We all become accountable at that point. All humans.
Okay. Well, listen.
So
here's
now that we know, we got to do better.
Here's what I'm hearing. Is that it takes a certain amount of faith to act on that information.
Absolutely.
Okay. So folks, listen, we want to show you how if there is a situation Now, we're not going to be presenting a problem without presenting a solution. I guarantee you that there's a solution. Okay. And Coffee, you mentioned something before, is that you married someone like what? What was that? What would you say? What was that you said?
I married what I hated about my mother.
Okay. Have you heard of a book called Getting the Love You Want?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
By Harville Hendricks?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Is that where you got that from? Because that's exactly what they talk about, he and his wife.
No, that's not where I got it from. I got that from the Holy Spirit. The
Come
Holy
on.
Spirit taught me, because the Holy Spirit will lead and guide you into all truth.
All right.
So the Lord actually taught me about myself.
Come on now, because I didn't realize that till I read this book, Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendricks. Folks, if you want to have some insight into that marriage relationship and picking that person, and sometimes you actually out there trying to fix the very thing you didn't like in a parent, you marry somebody like that so you can try to fix it in that person. Ouch. So folks, if you want some insights into what she just said, get that book, Getting the Love You Want. I have it up on the screen now. Let me go ahead and see if I can make it a little bigger. All right. Getting the Love You Want. There it is. So that is, and if you're online, you can see that. So think about that. So here's the thing. How do we fix that? If you are in a situation, you're in a situation where you're married to if you're a saver and a spender, all right, and then you're married, how do you suggest you can get over that? Because listen, we want to provide some solutions. What do you think? Is there a way?
Absolutely. It's called the power of God and praying. It's called getting on your face, acknowledging that you made a bad decision. But marriage is honorable and all. So it's not that you should go and dissolve the marriage, but you got to pray and ask God for him to reveal to your partner.
Yes.
The same thing that's being revealed to you, not going to judge him because you chose him.
Yes.
So you can't blame God for your choice. God don't put people together. People put people together.
Come on.
So we're free moral agents. We choose people. I hate when people say, the Lord sent me this spouse, then they get a divorce. Well, the Lord sent them, and then the Lord said, I don't understand. The Lord ain't got nothing to do with humans choosing partners. That's you. So don't blame God for what you chose. So I hate, Don, that make me mad, Don. It make me mad in Mama Dia voice. That's just stupid.
I understand.
God come down here and pick no spouse for you. So anyway, that make me mad, Don. It just make me mad. So anyway, we have to repent and ask God for forgiveness when we don't make the best choices in partners. But if that person is not, abusing you in any type of capacity, then you should be the one to help them. And once God gives you the information, he will show up. If you pray and ask, God will bless you to be able to bless your partner.
Okay. I hear you. So to stick around there, Coffee, I got credit goddess Rosalora Lewis on the stage. So listen, Rose, I had this title up, but when I went to turn it on this morning, it had disappeared. I don't know what happened. I can't explain it. It was there and then it was not there. So we're going to make you moderator. Rose, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, Don. How are you? Hey, Miss Coffee.
What's up, gorgeous? How you doing, beautiful?
I'm doing wonderful. Hey, everyone in the audience.
What's up, fam?
All right, there we go. And something is happening on Clubhouse because people that I'm following, it says I'm not following them anymore. So I have to refollow,
Oh, no. Are you serious?
Yeah. And Brian was talking about it in BOB this morning as well. So it says, I'm not following Coffee. It says I wasn't following you. And it said that last time. It said that on Wednesday. The last time you were here, it said I wasn't following you. So anyway, credit goddess, Rose, will you please introduce yourself? And Coffee, I'm going to have you introduce yourself as well. So Coffee, you were just speaking. Go ahead and introduce yourself. And then Rose, we're going to come right back. But Coffee, would you introduce yourself and tell us? I would appreciate it.
I am the world's favorite beverage, period. there's no other beverage that's consumed more outside of water than coffee. So I'm America's favorite beverage and the world's absolute favorite beverage. And so with that in mind, you cannot have a good conversation without a great cup of coffee, period. I am a certified master life coach, and I understand that we need 8 cylinders. 8 is the number of new beginnings, and I'm here to take you from 6 cylinders to 8 cylinders so that you can move faster and easier to where it is you need to go. What I mean by that is that I'm in the publisher space, and I love what Don mentioned about books. Books that we unfortunately haven't realized is that publications will outlive us. It is one of the 10 ways to create legacy in the earth, and I am in that space. So I teach entrepreneurs, collaborators, and creatives how to collaborate just like the Bible. There's 66 books in the Bible, and there were several people that wrote it all with one purpose. What? The coming of Christ. It's all about Christ, right? So I teach people how to take that same principle, dump it inside of a book. They spearhead the project. I show them how to earn an extra 10, 20,000. That just depends on how much money they want to earn from the collaboration of the project. I teach them how to do that and then turn around and have it all under their brand so that they can benefit and their community can benefit. And that's what I do. I teach people how to become, like me, master anthologists. All right. Well, Don, that's who I am. That's what who I am as a child of God, but that's what I do to help add value to the world and to generate revenue for generations to come. I yield my mic.
Listen, and what you said is the truth, because I just checked. Well, it was a little while ago, and I got to recheck. But my book has brought in, since we published it, over $20,000. I didn't realize that.
Well, Don, I got to talk to you about that because you're making a grave mistake about your book. It's supposed to be on your website. We're not supposed to send no traffic to Amazon.
You know, well, listen, the reason why I did that is because I got my hands full and I would have to pay somebody to ship these.
Well, pay them, Don. Pay them. Pay them. Pay them. You got the money. Stop playing. Pay them.
Okay. So you want me to take it down? I hear you.
No. Leave it on Amazon.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is when you do your copies, like when you send the traffic,
right.
Don't drive the traffic to Amazon, drive it to your website. And just like I do PayHip. PayHip is free. This is game for anybody in the room.
Come on.
I normally don't give out free game, but I'm going to do it today.
Yeah.
There's a website called PayHip. You can do your products, your services, your subscriptions, whatever you have, whether it's digital, whether it's products, whatever it is, you can put it on PayHip. PayHip is a site that's been up for years, probably maybe 20 years, and it is free. Doesn't cost you anything. You can actually put all of your information about who you are, and you can build out a whole entire storefront online at no cost to you. So what I teach my authors to do, Don, I tell them don't drive any traffic to Amazon. Drive the traffic to your website. Order your books from KDP, of course,
right?
Because you're ordering at wholesale,
right? And
then you turn around and sell them at retail on your site, and you get 100% of the profit, not 35%.
That's true.
Or 60%. You're getting 100%, and that's what we're doing. We don't need to be cheated by having our stuff on Amazon. And also another thing too, for those of you that are considering what I'm saying, and I know you're not a master at it. I'm a master. I've invested over the 10,000 hours to be a master. So whenever somebody says they're a master, that means they've studied their craft for over 10,000 hours. If not, they're not a master. Okay? This is one more thing for you to consider, is that you can actually go on another website, Donna, and I'll get that to you. I'm not giving that game away.
Okay.
But there's another site that you can go on to where your book is available everywhere books are sold, period. So that's where we got to get you on there as well.
All right. Well, Coffee, I'm looking right now. I'm looking for that pay, but give money. Okay.
Yeah, it's called PayHip. PAYHIP.
PAYHIP. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Hip, like a hip hop.
Gotcha. So I'm sending you right now. Okay. Select. Okay. I'm looking on here. Send Coffee Brown $50 for that. There you go.
All right, sure. Well, praise God.
There it is. I just sent it. Good. Thank you very much. Because listen, folks, here's what I need everyone to know. If you want God, I just learned today. I'm listening to this preacher. Okay, this woman. She was breaking it down. She said, if you want to be comforted, you got to comfort. Okay. If you want to be comforted, you got to comfort others. If you want money to come to you, you got to be willing to give. You gave us some game, and listen, there's no such thing as free game. You gave us some game, pay hip. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go for, but you need to be paid for your knowledge, and I appreciate you. So there's $50. There you go.
I appreciate you because I charge $1,000 an hour, so I'm gonna calculate to see if you're about right. I think you're about right on the
listen, listen. We may have to do some more business. So thank you for introducing yourself, Coffee. We're going to be coming back to you. So Rose, will you please introduce yourself to the people? And I need you to kind of comment on this, on the title of the room today. Can marriage between a saver and a spender survive? Please.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for dropping that, Coffee. I use PayHip as well. So she was giving you some solid information there, Don. Hey, everyone. My name is Rosalora Lewis, also known as Credit Goddess. I'm all things credit score improvement strategist. So not only do I help you repair your credit, but through education, I help you rebuild. Of course, you have to apply yourself so that way you can see results in changing your credit scores. And that's all a matter of just applying good money habits, right? So that way you can manage your credit, because once you take care of your credit takes care of you. I'm also a business credit coach for any entrepreneurs that are looking to either start their business or grow and scale their business. Having access to capital is very important. So your business can establish its own credibility without you having to co-sign for it. And that's establishing business credit. So I do help with that. I'm also a NAV business loan broker. I have access to multitude of funding options. Other than business credit, we have equipment financing, you have accounts receivables, you have invoice factoring. There's so many different types of funding options that are out there. I help with that as well. So definitely tap in with me if you guys are interested in any of my services. So to tap into the topic here, can marriage between a saver and a spender survive? Now we're going to talk about calculations, or we're going to talk about, the balancing. It kind of balances itself out as zero, meaning like if a saver saves 10 and a spender spends 10, we're at zero. If we're trying to elevate above zero, then that spender has to understand the mission and what the goal is. If you don't have a goal set, or let's talk about this. If we don't have a budget set, then you're always going to either find yourself up and down on your goals, and you would never achieve it if you have a spender. I think they can survive if they have a budget together. Now, if that spender does not respect what the goal and what the mission is, then yes, there's always going to be tension between the two. And no, it will not survive. So both parties have to be in agreement of what the goal is. You can spend, but if you just manage that spending by applying a budget, then yeah, they both can survive.
Okay, so here's the other thing I want to ask. So let's say you're that you are a saver. Can the saver go too much on the other side and not be willing to spend any money? Have you ever seen that, where the saver is a little bit too much on that side of the spectrum? The pendulum has swung that far. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen it, yes. And I've seen it. And no, the spender, when the spender feels like they're being restricted, they become resentful. And yeah, arguments spark from that. A spender is, especially if we're talking about like we have those that have the love language of gifts. You have some people that put value in receiving gifts, or even taking care of themselves. They call it self-care, or they call it retail therapy. If you don't have a budget for that spender, And that saver is, like you said, all the way to the left where that spender can't spend. Oh no, there's going to be fights.
All right, folks.
That's not going to work.
All right. So listen, if you're in the audience and you want to add to this conversation, please raise your hand and come up to the stage and give us we need your input on this subject of savers and spenders in the same family, how they can exist together, or maybe you have another opinion. But if you have an opinion on this, raise your hand, come to the stage. And if not, I need you to do me one favor. All right. Because of the technical difficulties we had this morning, I need you to help share the room. Okay. And right now we have a total of 5 shares. So would you please share the room for me, everyone? And let's get this out here. So I've heard already that if a person is a spender, it can be devastating. If a person is an overspender, what about the perception? What about my perception? Can we talk about that for a second? What if my perception is, as a saver, that the spender is spending too much money, but it's only my perception? And if I'm a spender and my perception is that my spouse, who is, a saver, is trying to go too far the other way, and it's just my perception. How do we deal with my perception? Do you two have any insights on that for me this morning?
But that's the thing, though, Don. When people have this perception, isn't it our thought? Isn't it our opinion? It's not a fact.
Well, if it's my perception, but it seems real to me.
Okay, so here's the disconnect between two people, and I say this when we have these relationship talks on Clubhouse or anywhere. The problem is that people are not communicating with each other to identify what is what. We're left with perceptions, we are left with opinions, and we don't communicate with one another to understand each other, right? So it's, say for instance, you're man and a woman, they come together and they talk about finances, and we can all agree that we don't talk about finances. We don't even know your spouse's bank account and what's in there. We don't even know like how much they make. We may know a roundabout, but we don't know their spending. We don't know what they're spending on. You have women out here hiding what they're purchasing in the closet so their man doesn't say anything. That's the issue, is the communication. If, say for instance, and this is to anyone that's listening, I want you guys, if you guys are in the dating phase, I know some of you guys are so far in, have this conversation about finances in the beginning so you can identify your what you guys going to be working on, right? If we communicate like, hey, if we're going to come together and we're going to bring our finances together, this is our joint account, and then you're okay to have your individual account, but this is our joint account and this is the percentage. And I don't know if you guys remember Susie Orman. I love her. I think it was 50, 30, 20. Is it 50, 30, 20? So 50% of your income goes into the joint. 30% goes into, oh my gosh, I forgot what the 30% is. I don't know if it goes into savings or 20. I'll look for that. But a lot of times where, we have this 50-50 talk where, the men, or not the 50-50 talk, but the men put all the money into, the house and everything else, and the woman saves her money. But if we're talking about roommating, or if we're talking about in the marriage, 50% of your income. So say, for instance, we have someone that's making $5,000 a month. 50% of that is $2,500. And you have someone that makes $10,000 a month. Their 50% is $5,000. Instead of asking individuals that have different incomes to put to put their money in the pot, and you're saying, oh, we're going to split half the rent. Say the rent is $2,000. That is not fair for the person that makes $5,000 a month to put in $1,000, and the person that makes $10,000 a month put in $1,000 as well. the person with 5,000 have 4,000 left, and the other person that makes 10,000 have 9,000 left. It's not fair if we're splitting it that way.
I never thought about it that way. Go ahead, keep going, girl, keep going.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on her because I got some pushback on that. Go, Mama.
Oh, okay. Well, let's have this dialogue. Listen, I know we have a lot of people with pushbacks, but
if we're fair and we say put 50% of your income into the bills, so 2,500 comfortably is 2,500 of your 5,000, and comfortably 50% of 10,000 is 5. So now we have 7,500 in the pot. So if your rent or your mortgage is 3,000, that's coming out of that 7,500. The one that's making 5,000 have their 2,500, and the other one have their 5,000 to do whatever. Now 20% can go into savings, and then the 30% I think it goes to yourself. I have to find that the saying of what Susie Orman said to break that down. But I think it's fair if we do it in that sense.
All right, good. So now we got that point of view. So Coffee, okay. What's your comment on that?
What's your pushback, Coffee? Well, yeah,
Coffee, come on.
My dad was calling me from Florida, so I had to talk to my dad. Well, he was concerned. We had a bad storm that passed through here yesterday. He was concerned. And my mom is in the hospital right now, so he get paranoid easy.
Oh no.
Yeah, she'll be all right, child. We believe in the Lord. The Lord gonna show up and show out for her. I ain't even worried about it, girl. She'll be fine. Hold on 1 second. Alexa, volume 1. Let me tell you what my pushback is. When it comes to marriage, okay, now I'm not talking about dating somebody. I like you, you like me, all that crap. When we talk about marriage, here's where here's where the pushback comes. If I want a roommate, I need a roommate. If I'm going to be someone's bride, it is his responsibility to be the priest, protector, and the provider. Okay. Provision comes through him for us, for the family. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is simply this. When it comes to the household, and this is where everybody has different philosophies and all that. And I love her when Rosalie was talking about this from that perspective. But from the stance of a provider, okay, that means that the basic necessities of life, I'm not talking about what Rosalie was talking about with women who you want this particular bag, but you don't need the bag, you want it, and you hiding it because you know that your spouse is out there, working to build this whole wall, financial wall, secure wall around your household, and you out here doing stuff you ain't got no business. And that's deception. You're being deceptive. You're not supposed to do that in a marriage. All right, so that's not of God. That's total. That's not appropriate to do that. I'm guilty of it when I was married. I'll be the first one to put the bullet to my head and pull the trigger. All right, so I'm not judging anybody. I'm telling you what I did. I don't have a right to judge anybody. So anyway, as I learned and I matured and I continued to grow, what I came to understand is it was my husband's responsibility to be the provider, the priest, the protector. Those are his assignments. My assignment is to take what he provided and multiply it. That's my assignment as a wife. Now, here's the challenge is we don't have, like you talked about, Rosalie, the education. We forfeit the education for the opportunity. I just want to be married. I want a husband. I want a wife. Well, you don't understand what that assignment really looks. It's bigger than you talking about, I want a husband and wife. No, you're supposed to be creating a legacy and a dynasty. You have to even identify what your marriage signifies. It's the same as starting a company. When I first started my company, I was thinking to myself, well, what does this signify? What is our mission statement? What is the vision of my company? What is the vision of my brand? What is the mission? Why are we doing this? What's the purpose of it? Who do we intend to reach? Why do we want to reach them? So on and so forth. And that's what marriage is about. Marriage is a legal and binding agreement between two souls to procreate and reproduce. That's what marriage is for. We get into it because we think it's some kind of status or something. I don't even understand what our thought process is. However, when it comes to a marriage, it is a husband's responsibility to be the provider. And this is to the women. If you dating a guy that can't provide the basic necessities, you need to cut it off. If you're dating, he ain't it.
And
Oh,
it's okay.
okay.
If he cannot provide, I'm talking about the basic necessities, Don. I'm not talking about extra extravagance. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about food, clothes, shelter. Now, what kind of food, what kind of clothes, and what kind of shelter, now that's a different subject.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, see, listen, this is where we're trying to understand spenders and savers and understanding money inside the family. But and then we've got that point. But can I introduce something? Can I
Go
introduce something
ahead. Don,
else?
teach the people, Don. Come
Okay.
on with it.
I want to introduce this idea. Okay. Because in my family, we have a certain way of understanding money. But in a marriage, in a marriage, is there a place for separate bank accounts? Because we're going to get into that. We're going to have a whole thing on that. Should we be talking about, okay, this is my bill, this is your bill? And I think Rose mentioned that we may not know how much the other spouse is making or how much money they have. Is there room for that in a marriage where you don't know what the other spouse has as far as finances are concerned? Is there room for that?
Okay, there's room for it, but we should be open and transparent about the fact that we have it, not in secrecy, no. But if we know where the money, again, this is where having that communication and knowing what, and I love what Coffee said. And yes, the man should be the provider, but that's, again, that's with the communication. How are we going to disperse these funds, right? So if the man has to take care of the home household and she agrees to that and he agrees to that, that's great. If she's bringing in money, where is her money going? And I believe, yes, a woman should be able to multiply, right? We have that intuition. We know the support. So if we understand his vision, we can multiply and expand his vision. And that is the conversation that we're not having with one another. Men are like doing their own thing and a woman doing her own thing, and we're not coming together. So having that separate bank account, yeah, it's fine. If we're all talking about what we're bringing to the table as a marriage, this is how much we're making together. Let's talk about how much is going to go into our bank accounts, right? And we can go by percentage, we can go by a set amount, we can go however we go, but this is the money conversation that we need to have, but we're not having it, right?
Okay. So, all right. So, listen, folks. You're in the Pill Method Club this morning. If you're not a member of the club, please click that house at the top. Join the club, and I also need you to join this conversation. We have just brought somebody up from the audience who wants to speak. But if you have an idea, if you have a point of view, if you have a comment or a solution, whatever it is, raise your hand, come to the stage. We want to hear from you to provide that perspective. So, Just D, we just brought you up, sir. Talk to us. And do you have a question or a comment this morning?
All right, good morning. Yeah, I actually agree with credit. All right, because this is a marriage, right? We're not talking about like dating. So one of my major problems is when you're married to someone, first, I would you not know how much your spouse is making. It's a marriage. All right. I mean you have to have trust in a marriage. So if I'm making X amount of money, my spouse should know. If she's making X amount of money, I should know. All right. I grew up in a culture where as a man, yeah, Cassie is right. I'm the provider, right? But when we are married, the dynamics might change sometimes because the goal is to build and grow. So, for instance, if my wife is making more money than I'm making, I mean, maybe she has a better job or whatever, I don't need to rely on her money. All right, but we could do like a compromise, right? I could say, you know what? Just because you're making more money than I'm making, I don't have to depend on your money. But when it comes to household bills, all right, I'll still take the lion's share, maybe like 60%, regardless of what I'm making, right? And you could come in with like 40%. It doesn't matter to me, we'll still deal with it. But if the goal as a couple is to build, I mean, you have to be totally honest and transparent in the marriage, right? So that's my key point. Then I don't also agree with our notion that just because the concept that we've all grown up with is that the man is the provider and you have to provide all the bills. That's the reason why most um, black relationships don't actually grow. We try to get to the bag. We try to accumulate wealth. All right. So if we both work as a couple, as a unit, we will get to our goal a lot faster than try to do it on our own.
Okay. So just D. So here's how here's how I look at that is that we all have a role to play. All right. My wife has a role and I have a role. All right. And so I can't help it. I can't help it. This is it wasn't because I didn't really see it, but my whole being says I'm the provider. That's my it's just in me. I can't explain it. My wife makes money. She has her money. She makes money and I make money. But I want to make sure that the mortgage is paid. When we came together, she had a house. She still has that house. And now we have a house. We have a house and we have a second house. We have a second house. It is treated like our second house, but my name is not on that house. Her name is on that house. All right. We have a house, but her name is on it. It's her house. But guess who's responsible for making the mortgage payment on that house? I am. I make the mortgage payment on our house, but her name is on the house. And so this is just how I feel about that. It's just that you have different roles, but when you define your roles, whatever those roles are, you can come together as a unit because each one has a different role let's call it a different job in the marriage. I mean, it even comes down to, and I don't want to make light of it, but when it comes to technical things or electronic things, that's my role. All right. When it comes to other things in the marriage, that's her role in the marriage. But we come together as one, and there is in certain faith traditions that the man is the provider of the basic necessities. So you tend to disagree with that, Just D?
No, I actually grew up in that kind of culture, right?
Okay.
I'm Nigerian by birth. So in my culture, that's the role that we play as a man. All right. But we both know we live in modern times right now, right? We live in America right now.
Right.
I live in New Jersey, close to New York City, right? Where the average decent mortgage could be like $4,000.
Right.
If you're buying a house today, you're probably paying like 6,000 just on your mortgage alone. All right. So if you're trying a brand new couple that just got married, they're still trying to work their way up, right? All right. If you're trying to build something, how do you put all that bill on the man? We know the man is really the financial head of the family, right? He has the dreams. The wife. We could all like discussions, like where do we go now? What do we do with our lives now? But the man is supposed to execute those plans, right? But if you put all those things, all those bills on the man, right? What man does he have left?
Right.
I'm speaking to reality though. I'm not speaking to like theories, right? The average person doesn't make more than $120,000 a year. That's just facts.
This one,
So coffee.
Don.
I knew you were going to get in there. So just be let coffee respond to that.
Uh,
So when I met my husband, we were at a birthday party, one of our mutual friends, and she said, well, Will is a wonderful guy, and da 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 da, and he's an amazing man, and such and such, and he'd be so wonderful to you. I think he'd be a good husband for you, right? So she, my West Indian part of my family. So I said, whatever. I wasn't interested. I'm originally from Detroit, so I don't respond to somebody saying somebody good for me. I go off logic like a man would. That's what I was taught growing up. I don't go off emotion. Okay. So I meet the guy and we have these conversations surrounding resources. Okay. He tells me, just one, about his vision for the future, right? Not only does he tell me about his vision for the future, but he's in the process of execution. Okay. If a guy comes to a woman and says, I got this vision or whatever, and he's not doing any steps towards it, that's not no vision. I ain't gonna cuss. So he lying is what he's doing. Okay. Period. He said to me, this is what I'm going to do. I'm already on the path to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. He already had all of that in the process. Now, when he came to the table, I had much more money than him, a whole lot more money than him. He was only earning a very low income, okay? However, when he gave me his plan of execution, guess what I did? Because I believed in the plan. I didn't believe just in him. I believed in that plan that he presented to me, because he who finds a wife, he wanted a wife. And guess what? I'm a wife. I got everything in me. I don't need nothing else. I came in the earth already equipped with everything to be his body. If I'm somebody's body, and in order for their head to function properly, I have to be able to have the capacity to do every single thing necessary to make sure that that head moves properly. I said all that to say this. By the time he passed away, he was earning more money than any single person in his same position. Why? Because when he gave me the plan, I was the executionist. If I can't multiply what this man brings to the table, then he's not my husband, period. There is no way I'm going to marry a man that cannot put me in a place to lay my freaking head. Even if it's a tent for a season. I'm not going to be with no man that can't put me in a place to lay my head in safety. That don't make sense. That's not principle. We have to go by principle, not whatever time we live in. There ain't nothing new under the sun. Nothing is new. So you think about it from a biblical stance. I'm going to say this, I'm going to yield back to you. Back in biblical times, when they wanted a wife, guess what they had to be? Positioned to receive her. You can't take on another person in a whole community if you're not positioned to receive her. When you take on a wife, you're taking on a whole nation. We're supposed to be procreating. Even if we don't have children, we still can duplicate ourselves to kingdom. It's all about kingdom. If we're going to dominate, if we're going to take over, we got to have a woman who understands Proverbs 31. Understands it, not just says it. She got to be clearly understanding what her assignment is. When I was married to my husband, by day and by night, I was looking for ways to generate income. I was looking for strategies, relationships, partnerships, ways to bring in more resources while he was in the process of becoming. That's how I knew he was my husband. Now, my husband been dead for 11 years. There's been several men who attempted to get hired as my CEO.
Lord have mercy. Come on now.
They want to be my CEO. They want to be the president of my company, but they're not equipped to handle what it entails to be my head.
Okay.
But if I don't know who I am, if I don't understand what my role is as a whoa man, I came out of a man. So if I don't know who I am, what my role is, what my assignment is, and everything else, then I'm not going to be of value consequently to that man. So it's imperative that we all understand, and I get totally what you're saying. However, it's imperative that we understand it is a man's responsibility to provide, period. There's no way around that.
So Just D, we're going to bring you right back. But here's what I'm hearing is that so you are if you were a younger company, if you were a startup, then you would be looking for a different type of CEO. But you are an established company, one that one that has a lot more value, and so you can't be bringing in a novice CEO coming into an established company to try to run it. Is that what I'm hearing today?
Don, listen. Whenever you go to apply for a position in any organization that gives you criteria, and the first thing on there, I'm an HR specialist, so the first thing on there is what's mandatory to be able to even apply for that position.
Lord have mercy.
When I see people show up and they put in an application and they don't meet the requirements, you know what I do? I shred the resume. I don't even talk to them. For what? You don't meet the requirement. This is required for this role.
There's a minimum requirement for this particular job.
For this particular role that you say you want to do. When I came to Texas, I'll give you a perfect example. I was running a tutoring company in Florida. I was earning $5,000 a month for 20 hours of work. $5,000 a month, 20 hours of work per month. I hired and I fired educators for Title I schools because, we got these Title I schools where all this funding is happening, and then we got these abusers who are using the money wrong. So I came in to intercept the behavior, okay? So I had my teachers, let me tell you how much money I was paying them, Don. I was paying people with an associate's degree $30 an hour. People with a bachelor's degree, $60 an hour. People with a master's degree, $90 an hour. And if you had a doctorate degree, it was $120 an hour to tutor children after school. It didn't matter whether you were a teacher or not. Listen to what I'm saying. The criteria was you couldn't come to me if you didn't have an associate's degree.
Oh.
You couldn't come to me if you didn't have a bachelor's.
Oh.
You couldn't. I don't care if you had 60 credit hours. You didn't get the degree. I'm going on mute.
Okay. So Just D, go ahead.
All right, this is the thing there, right?
Talk to us.
Just said now, I totally agree with it, right? All right, but she didn't say that earlier, so that's the reason why. She made some clarity to it.
Okay.
And I'm not speaking about anecdotal issue. I have a doctorate degree. I'm a lawyer, a licensed one, and I'm practicing. All right, so I'm not speaking by myself as a person. All right, so when I speak on this stage, I speak in general terms, right? Because I don't want to make it to myself alone. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do that, right? But she made some clarity to it. I get where she's coming from, all right, because she did say when she got married first, right, the other wasn't making much, but she knew, all right, because he had the qualities of a real man and it was going somewhere. She was a real support to him. Most men these days don't have the perspective. We have to be real. All right, so you came in with a different perspective.
I agree. I totally agree.
Right. So that's the reason why I said what I said earlier. But I totally agree from where she's coming from.
I have this saying where I say, I am not jumping off a cliff if you're not going to assure to me that we have a parachute. And that is what women are looking for in a man. If women are really honest with themselves and they truly know who they are, like I love if I can just clip what Coffee has said and just spread it all over the internet. Because this is if any of you guys ever heard this where they say marriage is a business and you like, oh no, you gotta love the person. Listen, what Coffee had just said and how she broke it down, that is exactly how us men and women need to think of it. Like Just D say, if we are building, what are we building? If we're not building anything, then of course we wandering out here in the wilderness all aimlessly trying to figure out what we do. You have to figure out what it is that you want. What are you building? And knowing how to find that particular person to fill your position, that position. And that's for each other, man and woman, but men precisely, especially when we're looking for men to lead. And a lot, like you said, Just D, there's a lot of men that don't know what it is that they want. And while women are looking for that too, because let me tell you, when a man knows what he want to do, that's the sexiest thing out there. Like when he is confident and know exactly what to do, that is security. That's what women are looking for, security. We don't want to be in the fight or flight position where we feel like if you're not taking position, if you're not playing your role, we have to step it up. That's why you have so many boss women out here doing it, because we have to step it up. That's our fight or flight. We're fighting, so we're just taking off, and we have to do it ourselves because men are not stepping up. So I love what Coffee said. And like a lot of women, and I use this analogy all the time, I am not jumping off the cliff with you unless you're going to assure me we have a parachute, because I am not trying to die with you. Okay, so I'm going to yield the mic back over to Don.
Listen, this is some powerful stuff. Listen, folks, if you are in the P.I.L.L Method Club right now, and this is your first time, I need you to go ahead and join the club. Join the club, because we're going to have more conversations like this in the future. If you have a comment or that you want to make about this subject, please raise your hand and come up. And so listen, folks, I'm going to be making some comments, but I want to make sure that if I say something, that there's somebody that can back up what I'm saying as true. And, I had to bring my spouse in here. I just gave her a call. She was willing to come in. And so I'm going to bring her up and invite my wife to speak. This is the first time she's actually spoken on the show. If she can come up, I don't know if she can or not, but she came in. So let's see if she is available, she'll come in and say something. There she is. Hey, honey, how you doing? All right, go ahead and click that microphone at the bottom right to speak, sweetie. All right, she's not ready to talk yet, but anyway. So folks, here's listen. We're talking about can a saver and a spender survive, and we were talking about in the metaphor of an established company, Coffee, and somebody's applying for the job of being the head or the CEO of your company, and then they need the basic requirements to even apply. Need the basic requirements to even apply. So now let's say they've applied. Now you got the applicants, and then someone. How do we as a spouse, a husband or wife, how do we get to choose? Now we're only talking about the financial portion. I already understand that there's more to marriage than just finances, but with this part is just about the finances. How do we choose among all the applicants which is going to be the best partner to help us with the financial part of marriage? How do we choose? All right, keep that in mind. But I have a comment online, all right, and it says Ambassador for Christ 1018 from he or she is talking to us on YouTube, saying have separate bank accounts and then a joint expense account is another option. So that was a question we had a while back. Thank you, Ambassador for Christ, to putting that up for us. If you have a comment online, go ahead and put it up. If you can only comment in Clubhouse, go ahead and put it up. But we would love for you to come to the stage and put in your 2 cents on this subject matter. Okay, so go ahead and continue to share. So I need somebody to now come in on that question. How do we choose the right person that has the qualifications for the financial portion of the marriage? Any insights on that, folks?
I would love to hear what Coffee has to say. Coffee.
I didn't hear what he said.
Okay, Coffee, here's what I was saying. I went
through a dead zone. Sorry
okay,
about that,
so
Don.
listen. This is what we're saying. Okay, you got all the applicants for CEO of your company. All right. And even though we know that there are more qualifications to marriage than just the financial portion, but how do we choose the right person for us financially, when we're looking at all those applications amongst all the other things we have to consider. But what is that? What is going to tip the scale for you, for the person to choose that person that has the right qualifications financially?
Their belief system about money.
Oh.
How can two walk except they agree? So if you don't have an agreement of what you believe money is for, what it's used for, why it is used, when to use it, how to use it, then you need to find the person that you can be in agreement with. You got to be able to agree. How can two walk except they agree? So you can have somebody who feels like if I earn $115,000, I spend $115,000. Okay, and you don't believe that. If that's not something that you believe, well, you should not partner with somebody where you don't believe the same thing. So that's where the difference comes in. It's what the two of you believe. All things are possible if you believe. So if you decide that you're going to be with John or Jack or whatever, no matter how much money he's earning, you need to understand what he believes and how he feels about money. You know, I ran into a guy, Don, who subscribes to Krishna but doesn't pay tithes. I said, oh, hell no. I burned his application up, just burnt it. Can't nobody be with you and you're not going to give 10% and you say you're a believer. That don't make no sense in my brain, right? This is my brain. So we would have been fighting if we would have not have been in agreement financially, period. Even though the money would have been accessible, we were not in agreement. So that's what would tip the scale, is the ultimate agreement.
Got you. So they could have everything else in place. Okay. Everything else in place. But on the financial piece, if they're on the financial piece, they said that you're totally out of sync, that's enough to say, oh no, that part just disqualified you from being considered.
I burned the app up. Burnt it up. Let me tell you something.
Come on.
When I interview people, Don, I was doing some interviewing when I was prior to taking over this insurance department for a friend of mine. When I was doing some interviewing, one of the ladies, she showed up for the interview 15 minutes late. Just moseyed on in like it was all good. She had all the qualifications and the education that we required to fill the role. The initial conversation that we had on the phone was superb and all that. But then you late and you didn't even account for you being tardy. There was no conversation which suggested that you were going to be late or whatever. And when she walked in and she shook my hand, I said, thank you for coming. We'll compensate you for your gas. Have a good day.
Wow.
She said, well, you're not going to even interview me? And I looked at her and I said, why would I interview you? Well, I came for the interview. I said, well, what time was the interview? She said, 10 a.m. I said, well, what time is it right now? It's 10:15. And I said, oh, so you can't read? You lied? You lied? I mean, somebody did your resume. So you tell me you can't read? Well, why are you saying I can't read? I said, evidently you can't read, because if I tell you to be somewhere at 10 o'clock, you show up at 10:15, then you can't read. I mean, that's the conclusion I came to. You just can't read. And I don't need somebody here running my department in my company that can't read.
Wow. Listen, folks, I want to comment on this, because right now, I have I have the mindset still that I'm working with, that even though I see a red flag or a stoplight, sometimes I will run through the stoplight. Somebody has told me who they are, but I didn't believe them the first time. I want to give them a chance in my corporation. I want to give them a chance, even though they've already told me who they are. Are you telling me that's not the way I should go?
No. That's a strong hell no. That's a strong hell no. That's not how that's the reason why companies are failing right now. Let me tell you something.
Say that again, Coffee.
That's the reason why companies only fail, because they're not. Okay, any structure. If you go to any, and I'm sure Jesse can definitely speak to this. If you go to any particular housing zoning authority that it says that they build properties, right?
Right, right.
And then you go to where they've cleared the land and they put all the indicators down to show you the acreage and all this kind of stuff and where the structure will be built. Well, if you go and pay your earnest money, your investment money, you buy the land, and then you turn around and attempt to build up something on it, a property on it, and you come one day and you see that they got sticks, or not sticks, but wood all around on the ground, right? They got wood on the ground for the foundation. You're gonna be looking at them saying, "Why is there wood on the ground for the foundation? Where's the concrete? Where's the concrete?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the concrete? Wood is not gonna keep that foundation stable. Where's the concrete?
Okay.
Oh well, we don't build these houses with concrete. What? I paid for concrete. Well, no. You paid for wood. Wood doesn't build houses.
Ooh.
So if I got wood and I say I'm trying to build a business, how am I going to build a business without concrete? I have to have something concrete to create.
Oh.
Period.
So listen, folks. So listen, I'm getting the idea here that even though I may be a compassionate soul, I may be someone who would overlook a glaring red flag or red light. I'm learning now. Okay, you say once bitten, twice shy. I'm learning now that when people tell you who they are the first time, we should believe them. And it took me a long time to get to that point. So we're talking about can marriage between a saver and a spender survive? And Credit Goddess was talking about conversation. So listen, let's talk about that conversation piece if we can. And listen, I thank you, Just D, for coming up to the stage. Let's talk about conversation. I've gotten married, and now is the time to have that conversation about money. What do you guys say about that? Now's the time to have that conversation about money. We're already married.
Oh no. The conversations about money, it's very dangerous for them to start after you get married. That's extremely dangerous.
I was gonna say yes.
Yeah, that's so dangerous to the point where that's almost you almost commit suicide.
Oh,
because I'm not even being funny. I'm being very, very serious because think about this. And people always take this scripture out of context, but I'm going to put it in perspective for you. Money answers all things.
yes.
Thing. Things meaning anything that you see with your two eyes. Money was the answer. Your clothes, the phones that we're on, these lashes my daughter put on my eyes today, the mascara, the truck I'm driving, anything that you can see with your eyes, money answered it. So if you get married without understanding how your money is going to answer the questions of your life, your tangible questions, then you in trouble. You in trouble.
Wow.
You're right. I do agree with Coffee and Credit.
Come on, Just D. Come on, bring it home for us, man. Come on, man. Listen,
No,
we need that male perspective. Come on.
Yeah, see, we need another king to talk about the kingdom. Let's go.
No, because they're both right. Because at that point, it's almost too late, because you're already married, So like, there are like issues there, right? I mean, you can still talk about like finances when you're already married. I mean, it's not like it's not gonna work, but generally speaking, though, right? You should do it way before you get married, so that way you could know exactly what you're dealing with. The perspective about money. So that's super important, though. But if you're doing it during the marriage, right, sometimes it could be way too late. Then you could have like conflicts. But you knew this was where I am before we got married. So why are you complaining now?
Uh-oh.
Right?
Uh-oh.
Right. That would happen. So you want to try to avoid that at all costs. So I do agree that you should do it before you actually get married.
All right.
Just to piggyback on what Coffee said earlier about like hiring somebody, right? I do agree with her. All right. If somebody shows up for the interview 15 minutes late, come on now. That's the biggest day of your life. You're looking for a freaking job. You should be there 30 minutes early. You know. So if you're showing up real late to a job interview, they just tell something about you. And I think like, yeah, I might give a grace sometimes, but most of the times I probably would not give a grace. You know.
Wow,
They just
Just D.
tell.
So,
Yeah.
so you said you knew this when you met me. So if I show up late to an interview and you give me the job, and now you're complaining because I show up late, I could say you knew that when you met me.
No.
A lot of people would say that. They would use that
Right.
to justify. Yes, they would.
Oh, wow. Listen, we just brought somebody new up to the stage. Miss Nicole Byer, how are you doing this morning?
Greetings, everyone. I'm doing blessed and highly favored. How are you guys doing? I just had to jump on and give my two cents.
Come on, we need to have your 2 cents, but tell us who you are and where you're from, and then give us your 2 cents, please.
My name is Tina Cole. I am a conflict resolution strategist.
Lord have mercy.
Hey, we need you. We need you.
And from the boardroom to the bedroom,
Oh, Lord, come on.
we I tend to have this issue with my clients constantly, and at the end of the day, there's lack of communication. And I put in the chat that most of my clients will, pretty much all of them, they do not have these conversations in the beginning that are needed in the relationship that will matter going forward. Communication is the key to resolve any type of conflict. You don't have to agree, but to have an understanding and to be heard is what I teach.
Mm-mm.
Money is the main cause of breakups. And like I'm not sure it was Coffee or Just D was saying, it's that they don't tend to think about money, but when it comes up, it it changes the dynamics of the relationship. Some may even get to the point where they divorce over money. However, there are opportunities to sit down to discuss. And 9 times out of 10 is how you discuss it that matters.
Okay, Miss Byron, but listen. I be talking, all right? I be talking. My wife is talking and I'm talking, all right? But we're not getting anywhere. You said communication is key. We're both talking, but we're not getting anywhere. What can you tell me about that?
Listen,
Oh,
listen, stop, don't talk with each other. Listen, don't use you did this. I use the I word. I feel there are take what you already have, but just change the way you
mm,
say things
mm-hmm.
because you and your husband and wife, they could be going on, talking. One of them can have a valid point, but the other one will not hear it because of past performance of what they've been saying from previous.
Oh, okay.
So your partner will not hear it.
Mm.
So once you sit down, you come to a common ground. Sit down, and you may even have to write because your significant other is not hearing what you're saying
Okay. So,
because it's something that's been that's been ongoing to the point where, irregardless of whatever one of you say, the other one is going to shut you down completely.
wow. So Credit Goddess just said, I'm not really listening. I'm just waiting for my turn to talk.
You're just waiting for your turn. But at the end of the day, you both there's no right or wrong. There's
Mm-hmm.
no right or wrong.
Uh-huh.
But to sit down and have a conversation about the issue at hand, allowing each other to talk and listen, but you're going to Show that you heard what your spouse has said.
Can you give us a couple of techniques, that we can use? Can you teach me how to communicate? Just give me one or two techniques that's going to help me in my communication, not just talking.
Listening. Repeat what your spouse has said. Once you repeat what they have said, then they're going to think, well, he's actually listening, or she's actually listening. Don't put the blame game. Don't play the blame game. Instead of saying, like I said, you did this, you did that, use the I word. I feel whatever.
Okay,
You
so
know what? You know what I like to ask?
go right ahead, Credit Goddess.
I like to ask a question. So what would you like to happen, or what's the solution? To see if they have one, because sometimes some people would just argue with you just to argue with you, or they'll just respond just to respond because they want to be heard. Like T said, if you validate that you've heard what they said and you understood what they say, then that kind of stops it right there. There's no point of even continuing because they keep repeating themselves because they think that they're not being heard. So once you do that, it actually stops the momentum, and then you then ask the question, so what would you like to happen? So what's the solution? How can we come to a common ground? If they don't have one, then you know that you were just dealing with someone that didn't really want a solution. They just wanted to go back and forth with you. And then you'll just say, you know what, we can revisit this. Let's come back to this later. And then once they're calmed down, then you can talk about how I felt or however, and this is what the plan is. Because again, like T said, and I said this earlier, it's a communication. We don't know how to communicate. But if we knew what we know from the beginning, and a lot of times we see over those red flags, now you have to hold yourself accountable because you accepted it. And they're not looking at it as what's wrong because you knew this coming in. So we have to have these non-negotiables where it's like, you know what, this is what it is, and I'm not negotiating this, and I'm not going to accept this. This is what I'm looking for, or we just set a plan. And I'm gonna share with who I admire. I admire my cousin. She has, if you guys go look her a business up, it's called Beloved Box, BELOVED BOX. Her and her husband came together when they first met. The first thing they did was talked about their goals. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? And because their goals was to become an entrepreneur, they worked on that together. He had eczema, and what she did is she went online and found some plants, some herbs and oils that she mixed together to help with his eczema, and it cleared it up. And they started that as a business. Now she is all over in luxury hotels and airports and this and that, and they worked together because that was their goal. They wanted to be an entrepreneur. They didn't know exactly what it was, but that they came together with that goal in mind and everything else that they had in common. And because she helped him with his eczema, they decided to make that as a business. They got a testimonial. He can speak on it because he was the product, or he was a client, and he can talk about or speak on something that he believes in and she believes in. And that's how they grew this successful business around what they talked about from the beginning, their goals. So if people have this conversation with each other, like I saw T mention that, people come together based on physical attractions and things like that. But if that all clears up, what do you have? What like Coffee said, I'm not building my foundation on wood. I want to build it on concrete. We need to have a concrete plan and what we're going to work on. So no matter if you guys have those bad days, at least you can revert back to what is it that we're planning and what are we working together? We got something to come back to. So that's the communication that we're not having with one another. We're in it for our own ulterior motives instead of what we're building for the future, especially for our children. So I'm gonna end it with that.
Wow. Anybody else got anything to say to us about this subject this morning? So T, Nicole, do you have additional comment?
Yes. It's important to express your thoughts and your feelings in a clear and respectful way, and to listen actively what the other person has to say. Because when you cut them off, like you said, you're not going to get anywhere. But it's also important to try and see things from the other person's point of view as well. And that way you can find a common ground to where you can agree to disagree, even if you don't see eye to eye on everything, because that way it can help build trust and understanding from the both of you.
All right, folks, listen, everybody in the audience, if you have anything to say about this, if you have a comment, go ahead and put it in the chat. Come up to the stage. Let's hear what you have to say. I'm going to take a little break here. I need you all to understand that where we're coming from with this information. We need to have a basic foundation about finances if we are to understand what the P.I.L.L method stands for in helping us to understand debt and how to deal with it on a regular basis. I need to share with you something that is very important in understanding that dynamic between husband and wife when it comes to finances. And Dr. Eric Thomas, not too long ago, mentioned that he did something that gave his wife peace of mind. I would like to play that for you right now just to hear what Dr. Eric Thomas has to say about it. He's called, he's E.T., the hip hop preacher. You might have heard of it. Let's play it.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
So here's what I heard just now. Dr. Eric Thomas said, my wife is a security freak. So I'd like to talk about the fact that security in the marriage, who generally feels that security is important, and the fact that when he said, I'm going to make this kind of money forever. And then she said, okay, yeah, that's all right, but I'm going to keep my license as a nurse just in case. Is she saying there, I really don't have faith in you? Can we comment on each one of those points today? The security, the faith, and the fact that, yeah, I'm going to live forever and make this kind of money. Can we have some input on those, please?
All right, I could go first, right?
You can go first. Well, only because the ladies didn't speak up, sir.
Yeah, I know. All right, so this is the thing, right, Don? When it comes to security, right, women are most worried about security. All right, I mean, and I mean, it's just a known fact, right? But the reason why is because as men, all right, we are wired to always think. I mean, I wouldn't say men, I would say most men, right? We are driven, wired to always be in that providing mode. All right, so we always think like, regardless of what happens to us, we would always find a way to keep providing for our family because that's our job. That's what we're born to do. So we don't worry as much about losing our wealth. We'll think, okay, all right, so what if I lose my wealth? I'll just do something else to get it back, right? So we always wired that way. So we don't think into the future, thinking like, all right, if something happens. But women always do that because they're always like, you know, they want to feel secure, which is not a problem. All right, but that's the only reason why I'm guessing Eric said, I'll keep making that money. All right. He's speaking like, all right, even if I don't keep making that money as a speaker, I'll find some other way to keep making that same kind of money, right? That's what he's talking about, right?
Yep,
But
yep.
like you're saying, just in case something happens to you, man, I'm just gonna keep my license, you know, because she's trying to support her husband and knowing that in life things does happen.
So is that her not having faith in her husband when she said, "Well, I'm just going to keep my license as a nurse just in case"?
No, no, she has faith in him that because she married him. She knows the kind of person that he is, right?
Okay.
But the thing is, the women think differently, right? They are more like, you know what? I mean, things do happen in life, right? But as men, as most men, driven, we're thinking, all right, if things happen, I'll find another way, you know. So that's just a difference.
Okay. Credit goddess, do you have any input on that?
Well, with her saying just in case, I mean that is the position of a queen, right? She has her
Uh-oh.
king back. Yeah. All right,
Uh-oh.
because because if we're talking about the chess pieces on the board, the queen protects the king. So just in case, because she's gonna allow him to be king, but just in case, I got your back. I got your six. Okay, so I'm gonna keep my nursing job so you can get back on with whatever you're doing, but I got your back. So I don't look at it as she doesn't have faith because she did allow him to be in the position that he's in without any fears. She was just asking, just double checking, if this not gonna last. I just want you to I would just want to let you know that I got your back. That's pretty much how I took it.
Okay. So if you know anything about the story, um, uh, uh, Eric Thomas will tell you it took him it took him 10 years to get a 4-year degree while she was supporting the family. In fact, she recognized early on, I guess, that who he was even before he actually recognized it, and says, "Listen, I'm going to school. If you want to be with me, then you're going to have to come with me and go to school." He said, "Well, listen, I want this woman, so I'm going to go to school." Even though he never did well in school at all, ever in life, okay, he learned how. He learned how. And so am I hearing, folks? Am I hearing that? Even though she says, I can still have faith in you, but I'm going to keep my license just in case while you're on the come up. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, I mean, why let it go?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's she should keep it just in case. Now imagine if she didn't keep it, if she doesn't keep it, and things do go wrong. What happens then? You always have to be prepared for the inevitable because you don't know if we can control what we're doing right now and how we go about things, but we don't know what the future has to hold. So those are the things that we don't have control in. So you have to always be prepared. So that's her just being prepared just in case.
So he found a way. He found the P.I.L.L method to help them to pay off their mortgage in record time, saving a lot of interest. And then when he did that, her stress went way down. And he says his marriage it became stronger and it improved after that mortgage was paid off. What was that about?
Ever hear the saying where they say give a woman a house and she'll make it a home?
Yes, I've heard that.
All right. So that is the home. I'm sure she built that home. She made it a home for them, for the two. But because they don't fully own the home outright unless they pay it off, because they still, have to pay the bank back for borrowing the money. That security, she felt like it is not hers just yet until they paid it off. So once he paid it off, her stress level went down and their marriage is now better, because that would have been the thing that would have been the tension if he's not who he is and they lose that source of income and she having to go back to work. Now that changes the dynamic in the home, right? Because that's the one thing that they have to worry about is like, are we going to be able to keep this home that I've built with my husband? Now I have to go out there in the world, in the trenches, and lose a little bit of my femininity, because when they say women need to rest in their femininity, listen, it's hard to do that when you're out here fighting in the trenches. So it's just it's a lot. So for her, she just felt safe and secure that they no longer have a debt over their head, and she can keep that home that she built. That's how I look at it.
Wow, wow, wow. Listen, Crystal just came in. And Crystal, listen, will you please introduce yourself to the folks and make a comment on the title of this room, please?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Crystal Armstrong, Dallas, Texas. And at first, let me just say, before I even start my introduction, I did not think this was your room when I saw the title, because it threw me off. But I am a licensed escrow officer in the state of Texas. I also am a mortgage closer. And so I do sit with couples on a daily basis. And I do see people with this dynamic. So I don't know. I think they can survive. I don't know how comfortable it's going to be for both parties. I don't know how easy that situation will be on an ongoing basis, but I see people do it, and I often question how they do it. And so even in my business, sometimes it gets a little awkward at the closing table when certain things come up, like, well, we taking out this loan to pay off all the credit cards that you ran up. And then sometimes I don't know if I should leave the room or, let them have a little moment because I don't want to be in the middle of that. But interesting topic, Mr. Don. I see you trying to get a little spicy in 2023, so I'm here for it.
Come on, come on. So Crystal, you are from your standpoint, in looking for in a relationship, what should a person look for if they're single? What should they look for in a potential spouse when it comes to the financial portion? Can you speak to that at all?
Well, I can speak to it real well because I'm single. So what I would say is, for me, I definitely focus on a man who's like-minded and he has the same perspectives that I do when it comes to spending, and wants, to build in the same way that I do, keeping overhead low, debts only for business, especially long-term debt, and always looking for opportunities that are going to add value to our asset portfolio. In terms of bills, I like to pay them early. I like to pay them at one time so I don't have to think about it, get that out of the way, and make sure all responsibilities are handled. Insurance, I try to pay that up for the full policy premium, so that I don't have to worry about that, because you have to have it, it's required. So just more so a mindset of responsibility. I don't think I well, not think I couldn't deal with a man, especially at this point in life, who wants to live paycheck to paycheck, who doesn't have a
Wait, wait,
plan.
wait, 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 wait. You said at this point in life. What does that mean?
Well, because I'm not in the early stages of, like, in your 20s when you just graduated from college, if you went to college, or even if you didn't go to college, the 20s are your building stages. You moving out of your parents' house, you getting your own place more than likely, and you're in a space where you have to kind of do things on your own terms. And if you are doing that with somebody who doesn't do things the way you do, that could be challenging even at that point. But people are more open to building then, because nobody really has anything unless your parents gave it to you. At that point, we're all kind of starting from the beginning. But I'm well past 20s. And so at this late great stage of life, I'm not old, but I'm too old for certain things, and that's one of them.
Okay.
So having been responsible for this long, I'm not gonna, revert back to something contrary to that.
Okay. So listen.
He need to be real grown. That's
Okay.
all I'm saying. I like responsible men,
All right.
because I
Listen.
need to have that peace that Credit Goddess was talking about.
All
Oh
right.
gosh, who you have brought on this stage, Mr. Don?
I brought Tori up on this stage.
Oh, Credit Goddess Rose. You supposed to warn me, sis. I'm not even looking at the screen.
All right, Corey, the coach, man. Listen, do you have something to say about this subject? Because listen, this is a 2-hour room, and we got 10 minutes left.
No, man. I think number one, if you look at my PTR, you can see that Crystal is absolutely old. So she's lived several decades. So she has great knowledge and wisdom on the ebbs and flows of finances. And so yes, she is definitely an old lady. But I think to the topic of the room, I think it is a challenge. It's a challenge for the scripture is very clear when it says, how can two walk together unless they agree? And I think the concept here is, how do you get a person that has one mindset to agree with somebody that has a spender mindset, to agree with somebody that has a saver mindset? I think it takes, really sitting down and getting the other person to understand what the vision for the family is and why this excessive spending is not going to be beneficial for where it is that we're trying to go. And that can be a challenge sometimes. We've all heard the saying that it's really hard to teach, no pun intended, Crystal, but an old dog new tricks. It's extremely challenging to do that, right? And so you have to be willing in marriage, right? And so let me back up and say this. I would say you need to have this conversation before you get married. You need to be watching their spending habits before you get married.
Okay.
You need to be having these conversations pre-marriage, because once you get married and you start intermingling those finances and funds, and if one person is a saver and they've got a vision for where they're going, and they look in their bank account, and the spender is spending without accountability, is spending frivolously, is spending which is causing you to lose money in that saving account, or whatever the case may be that you're planning with to buy that house. And that's going to be problematic. That's going to be an issue. Can you survive? Can a marriage survive between a saver and a spender? Yes, with work they can, right? And so sometimes you got to get them to see why saving is important. But then on the flip side, and I'm sorry for speaking so long, but then on the flip side of that, Ice, there's some people that save so much that they don't enjoy life.
Here we go.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, you got some folks that save so much that they scared, to get extra ice in their soda at the drive-thru. And so you got to deal with the mentality of that person as well. I think I'm a perfect mix because I'm a visionary and I spend. So a person that doesn't want to spend anything would bother me, because I like nice things and I like to travel.
Okay.
But then somebody who overspends will bother. So it's just about finding that balance and taking financial literacy classes, and then maybe sitting with somebody that is where you're trying to go and maybe trying to model after them. But this whole concept is about mindset. It's about shifting a person's mindset. And so I appreciate the space, man. I think you can survive. I think it may take a little work. It may take you putting some mechanisms in place to help that person to see things different, but I think it can work, man, for sure. With a lot of work and a lot of prayer, my brother. This is Corey, coach. I'm done speaking right now.
All right, Corey, listen, we want you to introduce yourself in just a second, because I've got to let some folks go online here in just a couple of minutes, but I want to talk about something you all are saying, and I want to get some examples on the screen. So if you're on Clubhouse right now and you have a secondary device and you want to see what I'm getting ready to put on the screen, you want to go to YouTube and search P.I.L.L Method, and then you'll be able to see what I'm getting ready to put on the screen right now. So if you want to be in a position where you want to talk about the saver and the spender, is there a way for a saver and a spender to come together and to see what is happening? I'm going to give you something here that will help you to do that. Here is our opportunity cost calculator. You see, when you have an opportunity cost calculator, that means if I spend this money, what is going to be the result of me spending? If I save this money, what is going to be the result of me saving this amount of money? So now you can come together and come up with a plan and see what the end result is on your plan that's going to go forward. So we have a 30-year mortgage here of $200,000. We got a car loan in here. We got a credit card in here, and we're paying our bills. And knowing how we're paying our bills, we also have a spending plan incorporated in here, so that we are, like Corey said, I'm not afraid to put extra ice in my soda. Okay. But then again, we're not spending without recourse. All right. So how do we put all of that together? I need you to take a look at this thing. So once you plug in all of your debt and once you plug in everything, even your spending plan, would it be nice to know that as far as the interest is concerned, you're not going to pay $179,000 in interest with your current plan. And you'll be able to pay off all of your debt, your mortgage and everything else in 7.7 years. And I want to point out something here. So as John and Rebecca Jones here that are on the screen, they're putting their plan together, paying their bills, paying their mortgage, and they are putting a certain amount of money away just to eliminate debt. I want to show you that they have a budget here, unitemized budget of $1,300 a month. $1,300 a month. And out of that, they've chosen to spend $500 a month on whatever they want. $500 a month on whatever they want. And they can still get out of debt in 7.7 years. Let me go in and show you how you can negotiate this, folks. And part of the reason why it's hard to negotiate is because you don't know how that is going to make a difference. So we're going to go into where it says unitemized budget, and I'm going to change a couple of numbers. So let's just say we decide that we want to spend $200 a month. So we're going to take this down to $1,000. So we're going to take the 300 out. We're going to make it $1,000. Okay. $1,000, and watch the difference here. Watch the difference of what we have here. Okay, so we have 179,000. We're going to be out of debt in 7.7 years, and now we're going to say let's spend $200 a month. And when we click save, now we can get out of debt in 6.9 years and save $185,000 in interest. And then we could say, well, listen, at 6.9 years versus 7.7 years. Do you know what? When they start talking, I think I would be okay with spending the $500 a month and get out of debt in 7.7 years and have a comfortable time doing it. You can come together with our program so that you can figure out how to save, how to spend, and a saver and a spender can have their particular ideas expressed in this program, because now you can see how it is all going to turn out. If you want to know the month, day, and year you could be debt free and how you as a saver and a spender can come to agree, and you want to see how this program can work for you, then go to ice10k.com. I'm going to put it at the top of the screen here, ice10k.com, and click on the link. So it will tell you that you want to look for getting a savings and earnings report. Getting a savings and earnings report. Let's add that link. All right. And then fill out the information. And if your goal is to find the comfort zone between the saver and a spender and know how it's going to turn out, we can be out of debt here by saving and spending this much money. Now you've got something you guys can work on. So go ahead, fill out that information, folks, and get my book as well to give you a foundation. And we're going to be letting our folks go online here in just a second. And then we're going to come back to Clubhouse and just, maybe carry on the conversation for a few more minutes and do some other introductions. I want to thank everybody who came to the room today to help us with this conversation. We're going to say goodbye to everyone online right now. So contact us. Bye-bye.